Hi guys, this is Angela with Panda-Kisses, and today we are going to be making the lined version of the cactus bag. And so far I have a 5x7 hoop with tearaway stabilizer. So get your machine ready with that, and we are going to be making the pieces that come off of the cactus bag first. You always want to make the pieces first. So I have everything ready to go. I'm going to stitch out the placement, which is step 1, and I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, I am over at my iron, and we now have the cactus pieces stitched on to the placement stitches stitched on to the tearaway stabilizer. I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna prep my fabric. I'm gonna try make this cactus with woven fabric as well as the pieces. So this is just the woven fabric. I'm gonna use some weird color combinations. We'll see if it works out for me or if it ends up being not so cute, but we'll see. You can see woven fabric is really thin and there's no stability to it, and these pieces are going to be sticking out on the side of the cactuses, so you want them stronger than this. So I'm going to go ahead and add some lightweight stabilizer to my fabric. So I am prepping my fabric for the pieces. This says lightweight fusible interfacing. This is what I'm using, and there's a rough side that feels like little beads, which is this side, and then there's a smooth side. You want to take the wrong side of your fabric, so I'm going to flip this down. The wrong side of your fabric should be up, and then you're going to take the rough side of the fusible stabilizer and you're going to put it on the wrong side of your fabric, and then you are just going to apply some heat. So I'm just going to iron it, and it's basically just going to iron onto it. And what it does is it creates a thicker fabric, so you have more stability in your fabric. So I went ahead, you need 4 pieces because you need a front and a back when you're doing this. And so I went ahead and did 4 pieces of fabric, prepped all with the lightweight interfacing on it. And I will meet you back over at my machine and I'll show you what we're going to do with these. Okay guys, this is what the placement looks like right here. I'm going to do different colors for the flower and the buds. So the next step is to go ahead and tack down your fabric for the flower bud. I'm going to use felt for this. So I just have a little piece of gray felt right here, and I'm going to place it down. And then I'm going to go ahead and stitch step 2, which is basically just going to tack down that fabric. So this is what it looks like. It went ahead and tacked down this felt. Now the next step, step 3, is to put the back on. This we're not going to flip this, so you'll see these lines. And so you're going to put the back of this on the back of your hoop. So flip your hoop over, and I've got another piece of felt, and you're just going to make sure it's big enough to go over this. Tape it down because it's on the back side of your hoop. So I'm just going to put some tape there. And some tape there, and then and then we're going to run the next step, which is step 3, which is basically just going to connect this back piece of felt to the front piece of felt. So I'm going to go ahead and run that, and I will come back and show you what it looks like. After we run that step, here's the front. If you flip your hoop over, there's the back. You can see that it sewed the two together. I'm going to go ahead and put this back on my hoop. Now I'm going to show you this next thing. This we're not flipping. It's just going to be cut out, and we're going to put it on our bag flat. I'm actually using woven fabric, and unless you want a bunch of rough fraying edges, you have to flip these if you're using woven fabric. If you're using felt or vinyl or something else, you can choose to do this flat. If you watch my unlined bag, I did this flat with vinyl, but I'm going to show you now how to use woven fabric and that you need to flip it. So we are going to go ahead and take that prepped fabric that we just made right here. It's just a little thicker. I made these a little too big. I didn't know how big this was. So I'm going to go ahead and put it here. And then we're going to get another piece because these are going to run together. You can see they run together. I'm going to put this one up here. Just make sure you're covering your placement stitches that are there. And then I'm going to go ahead and run step 4, and it's just going to tack down that fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, here you can see that they're both tacked down. Now we're going to run a detail. There's some details on these pieces. You can see there's like little cactus needles. So we're gonna go ahead and run that next, and I will come back and show you what that looks like. This is what they look like with the details on them. Now, if I was doing vinyl, I would just put the vinyl on the bottom and then we wouldn't be flipping this at all. But since I'm doing fabric, like I said, we're gonna do like sides together. So here's the right side. I'm gonna take my other prep fabric right here and I'm gonna do right sides together because we are gonna flip these inside out. So just make sure your fabric covers the placement. I'm going to make sure those are put together, and I'm probably going to cut this down because mine's too long, but I will place them basically like this where it's covering it, and then we're going to run the last step, which is step 6, and then I will come back and show you what we do next. Thanks. Okay guys, this is what our front of our hoop looks like. This is what the back looks like. So we're going to go ahead and take this off now. We could pull this apart. Okay, I'm just going to take all the stabilizer off because I don't want the stabilizer. Okay. Doesn't matter if the stabilizer is in here or not, it's going to get flipped. But I'm going to take some scissors and I'm just going to cut all the way around this. Okay, I'm going to cut this one as well, and then I'm going to show you what you have 2 options on this if you're using fabric. This is made to be flat, so it's designed to be made with like a vinyl or a felt, something that doesn't fray on the edges. Because if you just cut these edges with woven fabric, it's going to fray, unless you do something like a heat and bond on it or something. But because this design is made to not flip, this part. There's a line here. This line is here. You see this line right here? This line is here to help you line it up on the bag later so you know exactly where to place it along the bag line. But it keeps us from being able to flip. The design's not intended to flip these. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can seam rip the stitches right here, which I've already done, and I flipped this one. It doesn't take that long. I'm just using like a little seam ripper, and I'm just basically taking out this line like this. You just basically take out these stitches and then it allows you to flip it. Go on this side. Okay. So I'll get that line out, and it didn't take me that long, but you don't need to watch me do it, and then I'll show you how to flip it. So I'm going to take this line out with a seam ripper. I'll be right back. Okay, so I just took a seam ripper and took this line out, and now you can see that it's not stitched together and I can flip it. The other way you can do this, when you're on step 6, it goes ahead and the step goes ahead and stitches the fabric together like this, and it does a nice stitching, and then it does this little cross line at the end. If you're watching your machine, you can just stop your machine and then not run that last little part. They're not separate steps, so you'd have to stop your machine, but you could stop and then you wouldn't have to seam rip it either. So those are the 2 ways you can still make this design and flip it. It's not intended to be this way, but I am hacking the bag. Shh, don't tell Jen. I wanted this fabric to match my fabric I'm using for the actual cactus. If you don't want to do this extra little step thing, but you still want to make your bag out of fabric, you can do that. Just use something like felt on these pieces because you don't have to flip it, or use a fabric that doesn't require flipping, like raw edges. This would be raw edges. That's why I wanted to flip it, so I don't have raw edges. So those are your choices. You can use something that doesn't fray, so you don't have to flip it, and then you would put the fabric under the bag, not like sides together like I did. Or If you want to flip it, then you can do it, but remember to stop that last line because it sews it together, or just seam rip it like I did. It took a couple seconds to seam rip it and I'm fine. So here we go, we got those pieces. I'm going to cut this one, and then this one doesn't flip. I'm just going to cut this little thing out. Okay, now we have all the little pieces done and we are ready to start our bag. So I'm going to go ahead and hoop my 5x7 hoop with some more tearaway, and I will meet you back over at the machine and we will start the actual bag. So we're back on my machine. I have 5x7 tearaway hooped onto my hoop, and I'm going to go ahead and run the first step, which is going to be these placement stitches for your zipper and your bag pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and run that, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, this is what your placement stitches look like. Now we're going to move on and we're going to place our zipper. So I have a zipper right here, and your only choice is which way you want your zipper to open. If you want it to open from this direction to this direction, then put your zipper pull from this side. If you want it to open the other direction, place it this way. But as far as placing the zipper, the way you do that is you place your zipper between these two lines right here. So I put my zipper up here. I get it placed equal distance on both sides, and then you can tape both sides or you can hold it. This is how you want your zipper to look. You want your pull on the outside and you want this on the outside as well. And then we're going to go ahead and stitch the next step, which is step 2. And you can see there's 2 little lines that it's going to stitch. And it's basically just tacking down your zipper. It's going to do a line right here. Your foot's going to come up and then go above your zipper, and it's going to place it right there. Another line right there. So I'm going to go ahead and place that, and I will come right back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, here's what our zipper looks like. It's totally tacked down to the stabilizer. Now we are going to measure our fabric. I'm using, like I said before, I'm using woven fabric. So we need to create a clean edge. Woven fabric frays really bad on the edge when you cut it. So you can't just put a frayed edge up there by your zipper or at the bottom. It's going to look really bad. So this is my liner fabric, but you need 3 pieces of liner, and you're going to need 3 pieces of your outside bag fabric. So I'm just going to show you how I measured for this. I double all of mine for my liner and my outside. If you do not want to double your fabric, you do not have to. The way that I do it is I measure from right here on the top of the zipper to the top right here, and the distance from here to here, and I double it. So when I take a piece of fabric, I fold it in half like this, and this is how I get my clean edge, by doubling it. I just have a nice clean edge there, and this will be the fabric, how I place the fabric. So for the bottom, you just get a big enough piece that you can double it and fold it. Now I'm not going to use this, so I just want to make sure that this is past my line. But anyways, you double it. That's how you get your clean edge. And I just make sure both my pieces are past my line right here, and it's covering all of it. So this is my liner, but this will be my top piece. This will be my bottom piece. And then I have a back piece that's big enough to go over the whole thing as well. So those are the 3 sizes you need for your inside liner and for the outside. And that's how I do it. If you do not want to use a full folding method and you think that's wasting too much fabric, or if you don't have enough of that fabric, you can take just a small edge and you can fold it like this. So instead of truly doubling it, you can fold it. Take your folded edge and just put it right there, because that's all you need for the clean edge, is to fold it. And then you would use less fabric. You would be cutting like right here, and all this fabric wouldn't be used. The reason I double it, 1, this fabric is really thin, so it gives your bag more stability because now it's 2 layers. And 2, it's easier just to fold a piece of fabric in half. That's why I do it. But you can do it the other way. It will work just the same. Now, these are liners. On liners, all I do is fold the ones in half and I iron them. I don't put anything on them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. So this is one fold. I'm going to fold it. I'm just going to iron it, get a nice clean edge. Okay, so that's for the top. This one, I have this extra seam allowance, which is kind of annoying, so I'm going to bring that down because I don't want to use that. I'm going to fold it and just iron it. Now all this excess is going to be cut off later, so I don't have to worry too much about it now. So just know that I have it there. Now this one doesn't fold. This is the full piece, so I'm just going to iron it. Okay, now my liner is completely cut and prepped and ready to go. Now I have my outside fabric here. I do one extra step to my outside fabric. I'm going to use this fabric right here. I always, on all of my woven bags, I add lightweight interfacing, this fusible interfacing. So let me get the tag for you right here. It's just lightweight fusible interfacing, and I use this on all of my bags that I use woven fabric for. So I have the same size pieces cut, and the way I found my sizes is I just measured from here to here and I doubled this direction, and then I just have this size as well from here to here, but I don't double that way. And I did the same for here and then doubled it this way, and then I do from top to bottom, side to side, and make sure I have a piece big enough for that, but that doesn't fold. That's how I measured. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so here's one of my, this is the full back, so I'm just going to iron it. And then I take the wrong side of my fabric facing up, and then I take a same size piece of this lightweight interfacing, and there's a soft side, and then there's like kind of a scratchy side. It has little bumps on it. I take the bumpy side and I place it on the wrong side of my fabric facing down. And then I just iron it, and the heat is adhering it to your fabric, and what you're left with is a piece of fabric that's thicker. It's not as flimsy, so you're going to have more weight to your bag. Okay, so I'm going to do that with this as well. I'm going to iron this piece. This is the folded top piece. So just iron it. I'm going to fold it in half because this is where I'm getting my clean edge. It's folded in half, and then I already cut this interfacing, and I just put it on half. I don't truly, if you put it on this whole thing and then folded it, it's just going to be thicker. I don't think you need that much thickness, so I just put it on half of this, and I iron it down. And I can just iron this again. Okay, so I have that ready to go. Now here's my last piece that I have folded. Okay, so I'm going to iron it because my fabric's been folded, so it's super wrinkly. Okay, and then I'm going to get it in half. And then I'm going to take my interfacing. The rough side I'm going to put on the wrong side down here, and I'm just going to iron it on. I'm just going to fold it and re-iron just to get my edge really clean. Okay, and we are done prepping our fabric now. So that is all you need to do. You have your 3 pieces of liner, and you have your 3 pieces for the outside of your bag. So I will go meet you back at the machine. We are ready to stitch this together. Okay, we're back on my machine. I have my hoop back on my machine, and our first step is to place this bottom front fabric. So you can see right there, it's just gonna tack it down. So I'm taking my bottom front that we just prepped. I'm gonna place it right up next to my zipper teeth. I just place it right under the zipper teeth. Make sure that your fabric goes past the placement lines, and then I go ahead and run step 3. I'll be back and show you that. So it's all tacked down, so we're going to go ahead and do the next step, which is step 4, and we're going to tack the top part down. So I have my fabric here, I have my clean edge. I'm going to put it up right alongside this zipper line, And I'm going to go ahead and run step 4. It's just going to go ahead and run that outline, tacking this fabric down to the zipper and the stabilizer. Okay, the front of your bag is all tacked down. Now we're going to do details. This is always where you do the details. And our first details are step 5. It's going to do all the little lines on the cactus. So I'm going to go ahead and run that, and I will come back and show you. Okay guys, this is what it looks like with the detail on the front. Look how cute that is. Oh, super cute. Now it's time to go ahead and add the face, so the cheeks and the eyes and the mouth. I'm not going to add it to this one. I'm going to leave this one off. So if you want to see the face added, I did it on the vinyl one, but all you would do is run step 6. You would change your thread and run step 6, and then you would run step 7, which is the eyes and the mouth. Here, I'll show you the next step. I'm going to go into here. There's the eyes, mouth, and then you would go on to where I'm going to go. So if you want the eyes and you want the mouth and the cheeks, then go ahead and run those 2 steps. And then I'm actually going to leave it looking just like a cactus without a face. So I'm going to skip these steps. And like I said, I just showed you, you can get control of your machine. I'm going to close it. You have this plus minus needle right here. Your machine will have it here. So if you just push that, you'll get control of your machine. This screen allows you to jump stitches, and it also allows you to jump steps. So the ones with the needle are stitches. So individual stitches are within a step. You can go backwards or forward on those. That's the plus and minuses. If you want to skip the entire step or go back to a step, you use the spools. So I'm going to skip the entire step. So I hit my plus, and it's going to go to the face. I'm not going to stitch that either, so I'm going to skip that step too. And it's going to bring me to the liner, step 8. So I am skipping step 6 and 7, and I'm going to move on to step 8. So for step 8, we need to do the liner. And the way we do the liner is we take this off, we flip our hoop over like this, and then we grab our liners. And it's going to do this bottom liner first down here on the bottom. So I'm going to grab the fabric for that one, which is this. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to place it over where the zipper line is. So you're going to place this up to the zipper line like that. And then I'm going to tape here, 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 and here. Just make sure your fabric is big enough to go past. See, this is my inside fabric, and it's going to cover it. And then I'm going to tape it, and we're going to go run step 8, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. And I just wanted to add one more thing. This is where the teeth of your zipper open. That's where you want to place the fabric up to, and you'll always know where it is because it's in the middle. So there's these 2 lines and these 2 lines, so it's that center line I drew on it. If you're ever not sure exactly what line, if it gets too confusing back here, you can always turn your zipper over or your hoop over and open your zipper. Sorry, I'm doing this one-handed. Like this. And then you can kind of open this up and see where the zipper line is right here, this line, and then flip your hoop over and match this front line up to the back line. And that's where, how you know that's where you want to line up your fabric. But I went ahead and wrote so you could see exactly where it was. I'm going to take my fabric and I'm going to put it right along that line. So that's where I'm going to tape it. And then I'm going to go ahead and run the next step. Okay, it went ahead and tacked our liner down. Remember, we're on the back side of our hoop. So that looks perfect. Now we're going to go ahead and do the top part of the liner. So you're going to put your liner down like this on the other side. And you're going to tape it. And you're going to go ahead and run step 9, and it's just going to go ahead and tack down the liner to the front of your bag. And I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, I'm taking off the hoop. So it went ahead and stitched the top part of the liner down. So we have the whole back of the liner done. I'm going to put it back on my machine. Now, my needle has already moved to where it needs to be. We are going to go ahead and place our pieces now. And we're first placing this flower. You can see that it's up at the top. It's going to do that little line right there. And there's no placement stitch for this. The way that this works is that your needle automatically is programmed to go to the middle of where you want to put your design. So you want to do the right sides down. So this is the back of my thing. So the right side needs to be down and it needs to be going inside your bag. If you place it on the outside, we're going to cut this all the way around later and you'll cut this off. So when you're placing these pieces, you have to place it on the inside like this. So when we flip it, it will flip over like that. So I'm going to put this there. You can see on the back of this, there's a curve. I'm going to line this curve up in the middle where my needle is right here. So I'm going to come over here and there's the middle of my needle. And then there's the curve, and I'm going to place it basically right where the curve is, like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stitch the next step, which is step 10, and it's just going to tack that down. It is tacked down. So it's tacked to my bag. Now the needle automatically moves to the middle where you want to put the next piece. So you could take either one of your pieces. Now normally if you didn't flip this, if you just kept it flat, you would see a line right here, and that would be what you'd want to line this up with. I flipped these, so I had to take that line out to be able to flip the thing. So you just need to gauge where you want it. It's not too bad wherever you line this up. One, there's the details. You're going to want to take, that's the right side. You're going to want to put that right sides together. So like this is how you're going to want to put it down. And you're going to want to line it up to the middle of this needle. And then you can decide how far you want it this way, how far you want it this way. Depending on where you put this is going to determine how big this looks on the side of your bag. If you wanted it really tiny, then you'd push it more this way because the line would go like that. And then all this would get cut off. Everything on this side of this line is going to get cut off. So depending on how big you want it will determine where you want to place it. And I want mine pretty big, so I'm going to place it like all the way over, just probably like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and run this. Let me see, like right there. I'm going to go ahead and run this next step, which is step 11, and I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, it is tacked down, so it's going to end up looking like this when we flip our bag. It's going to be super cute. So now the needle moved to the middle where you want to put that. So you take your other piece. This is the right side. You put right sides down. And then you put this to the middle of your needle, and then like I said before, it works the same way depending on how big you want it. Now I have some excess fabric down here that I never cut off. You're not going to want to have this opening. You would not want to put it like this because you would see this big opening on the side of your bag. You want to make sure you're getting it to where at least the stitches are completely closed right here. So make sure to watch for that if you flipped it and didn't cut that off. See where this one goes. It goes all the way to there. Okay. So I'm just going to place it somewhere like that. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch that, and I will come back and show you. Okay guys, here is the front of our bag, and we have our pieces all attached here. And now we are going to be putting on the back of the bag, and anytime you put the back of your bag on, you need to finish your elements and open your zipper. So we are going to open this zipper, and you're going to open it as far as you can, leaving enough space for your foot to get by of your machine, because it's going to stitch around this line multiple times. So you want this in far enough that your foot doesn't hit it, but far enough open that you can flip your bag through the hole. So if you don't open your zipper, then you can't flip your bag. So you gotta open your zipper. So I have my zipper open. And now, if you want to place anything in the bag, this is when you do it. So I'm gonna add a D-swivel lobster clasp. That's what it looks like. This is which one I have. And I'm gonna add fold over elastic. It's just stretchy designer elastic. It just has designs on it. So I'm going to put that in there like this, and there's like little cactuses on it. So when you put this in, like I said before, you want to put it on the inside of your bag, so when the bag flips, it'll be like that. So whatever you want showing, you're going to put face down on the right side of your fabric. So I'm going to line this up so there's like a little cactus right there by it. And then I'm going to put this side down, and I'm going to place it along this line right here. You're going to see, you can see the line where it's going to stitch. Now this side doesn't, you'll see this from the back of the bag, but that's not the side I'm lining up to look cute. I'm lining this side up. I want that full cactus showing. So that's what I'm going by. And then I'm going to take a piece of tape. Sorry, let me get my tape over here. And I'm just going to tape this down to keep it in place while it stitches. Okay, so that is placed, and then I'm going to do a cute little cactus down here as well. I'm just going to do that cute little cactus without anything. I just want that cactus showing in the end. So I'm going to go ahead and place this down here. You can place things anywhere you want along this outside line, because when we put the back of our bag on like this, we're going to do right sides together. It's going to stitch around this like 3 or 4 times, and it will lock it in between these stitches. And when you flip it, you will see it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this right here, maybe right there. And I'm going to tape this down. Okay, so our zipper's open. The things that I want added to the bag are added. Now, the next step we're going to do, which is step 13, I'm going to put right sides together. Now, make sure to watch your fabric, which direction it should go. If you have directional fabric, I actually do. The squares, the little squares look different if you go this way versus this way. So I cut my fabric the right way, but I'm going to make sure I put it on here right. Face right sides together, facing each other. And just make sure that you are over all the different placement lines. And then go over to your machine and stitch step 13. I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, here's the top of your hoop, here's the bottom of your hoop. So we are going to go ahead and do the very last step, which is placing your other piece of your liner. So you're going to take right sides and place them together, and here you're going to tape it because this is the bottom of your hoop. Now this time it's going to stitch basically the same thing it did last time, but it is going to leave an opening down here. So you're going to want to place, I have quite a bit of fabric, but you're going to want to place enough fabric down here that you leave some fabric so you can flip and we can close down. We're going to close down here, I believe. So I have it all taped up. I'm going to go run the last step and I will be right back. Okay guys, here's the front. Here's the back. You can see that it's stitched around. It left a hole right here, right there. So we are going to take this off our hoop now because we are done stitching. Okay, and I take all the stabilizer off and just get rid of it. Okay, and now I cut the bag and I use some heavy duty scissors. And on this one, I watch how I cut it. If you're doing one that isn't lined, then it's not a big deal, but I want to keep some fabric down here so when I flip it I have something to glue it. So I always cut these ones at an angle right up to like where the stitch line is, and then I go around. I usually cut both sides like this so I don't forget, and I cut it off. If you cut this off really close, then you have nothing really to glue when you turn it. So I always kind of do both sides first just so I don't forget. Okay, so then I just go ahead and start cutting, and I cut all the way around my bag. I usually cut the corners kind of like at an edge, but this isn't really square, so we're okay. You have quite a few layers in here from the different pieces that are added to it, so you need some heavy duty scissors to get through the extra zipper and everything. Okay, I'm going to cut all the way down. Okay, and I'm going to cut some of this off because that's like way more than you need. Okay, so I have about that much there. It's cut all the way around. Now, the only thing you need of this excess fabric down here is the 2 middle liner pieces, which is this piece in this piece. All this other stuff you don't need, and it's just going to add bulk. So you can see wherever the hole is, you need this side of the hole and then the other side, which is basically just the liners. All this other stuff I'm going to cut away because it's just going to be in the way. So I'm going to cut this without cutting my stitches. A lot of times I turn it over like this so I can see what I'm cutting, but don't cut that fabric. Just getting some of the extra bulk out of there. Okay, now we are going to flip the bag through this hole right here. Okay, so it's going to be, this is like woven fabric, so it's going to be kind of easy for it to tear on either side right here. So just kind of do it slow and just kind of push it through. And I kind of try to get the edges through right next to it and just keep feeding it through this hole a little bit. Sorry. Let's come in. This is the smallest size, the 5x7. So this is, lots of people ask Jen to make these in a 4x4 size, and you could see how hard it would be to flip through this hole. This hole's kind of a small one, smaller, and this cactus is so long. Usually the holes on the other bags, you don't have as much distance to get through, so this one's a little harder to flip, and I'm having a little bit of a hard time. Hold on. There we go. Got that big part. I'm just trying not to rip it either. If you rip it right there, it's not the hugest deal because we're going to glue down there. We can just glue a little further, but I'm just trying to do it where I don't rip it. Okay. Okay, so we got it flipped, and we have to flip it one more time, but not through that tiny little hole, so the next flipping's not as bad. So I'm just going to straighten it a little bit. I'm not going to like completely make it perfect because we have to flip it again anyways. But we are going to get it a little bit straight so I can glue down here. So here's your hole that you flip through, and this is the hole that you have to close. And this hole is your liner, so it's on the inside of your bag on the bottom. So you can ladder stitch this if you want. You can do all sorts of stuff. I'm going to show you what I do because I am not a big hand sewer. So this is why I left excess down here at an angle. I flip this in side like this, and then I take the other side and I flip that in as well, and I kind of sandwich it. So I just kind of line this up like this, and I have these little clips that I use right here. They're called Wonder Clips. I'm gonna put those right there. I use these when I close my bag, and if any of these supplies that I'm using, if you're wanting like these Wonder Clips, I have all the links if you go to show me more in the comments of after the video, below the video in YouTube, there's a thing that says show more. I have all the links to everything you need. I have the link to the design. I have the links to different things I buy, the stabilizer I buy, the scissors I use. I have some generic stuff in there that I use for other stuff. I just kind of copy and paste the same list. But these Wonder Clip links are going to be in there if you need to find where those are. So go ahead and utilize that. So I just kind of clip them like this, and then I use fabric glue. This is fabric tack, and there's a link for this as well. This is the glue that I use to close all my bags. So excuse me, it's a little bit it's clear, so it takes a little bit to get down. But then I just take one of these clips off. I open it up like that. I have it all lined up where I want it, and then I just go down here and I put some glue across there, just like that. And then I just make sure it's lined back up. I squeeze it together, and I put a clip back right there. And then I open this side and I add more glue. It's really easy. It dries really fast. The glue's kind of like goopy and sticky, and then if you put too much, like I always put too much, but when I put too much, then I just take my finger and go like that and wipe it off. And then I put the clips on. And it dries really amazingly fast. I leave it like this for like 3 to 5 minutes and then I flip it again. So I'm gonna go let this sit for like 3 to 5 minutes and I'll come back and show you what we do next. Okay guys, it's dry now. Dry enough to flip the bag. You can see it's all sealed. That's pretty much what it looks like. It's not extra hard. It doesn't make it extra hard or anything. And remember, this is the bottom inside of your bag. So I think that's perfectly fine. So now you can see the zipper's open. This is where you flip through now. And this one's going to be easier to flip. So you just flip the whole bag through here. Okay. And just shape your bag. I'm just going to pull that. This cactus bag's kind of longer, so it's harder to get your hand down there. Okay, I have this little dowel tool that I like to use. You can use a chopstick or whatever. This is from a turning system for sewing. I'm just going to get these bottom corners out. Okay. And I like on here, you don't really have to pull all that stabilizer because we covered it, but I pull it right here by where the zipper is. I just don't want that there. I should probably pulled it before I flipped it. But I'm just going to take a second to get this out. Okay. Okay. This is the placement stitch, so you can pull this off. It's not ruining your bag. It's just the placement stitch of the where to put the zipper. Okay, and I'm gonna zipper it up. Now oops, I must have a string there. I'm gonna take it over to my iron and iron it to make it look more flat and pretty. I have just a string here I'm gonna get rid of. There we go. Right. Stabilizer and an extra string. Okay. But you get the idea. This is what it looks like. Okay. Super cute. So this is a fabric one. There's the cute little buds up here. You could see what it all looks like. There's the front. There's the back. And if you open your zipper, it's completely lined. There's no, you don't see any of the stitches from the cactus or anything. It's completely lined and super cute. Okay, so there's this one. And then I have another video on this one. I made this one earlier. This is a vinyl version, unlined. So this was used with vinyl. This one, you can see all the stitching inside of there. Let me see if I can... You can see it because this one's unlined, so you can see all the stitches. Okay, this one is a 6x10. I wanted to kind of compare it. This is a 6x10. This is the 5x7. There's a third size, the 8x8, which I didn't stitch, but I believe Jen, the designer, stitched the 8x8, so you'll be able to see her picture and what size that looks like. But there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you. And subscribe to my channel. It will notify you when I do new tutorials. And make sure to go post your projects over into Parker on the Porch's Facebook page. We would love to see them, and I hope you have a really good day. Thank you.